Ascension News, clearing fear of dark forces. To open this little chat, I had a recent conversation with a friend who I'd known for some years. She wanted to chat because she was terrified of someone she felt could do her harm, both on the earth plane and in other planes. I had to strongly reassure her of a few things, reminding her of her innate strength and light, and that dark forces are not all powerful as she was currently thinking and believing. Now, I mention this because it was not an isolated incident. I have come across similar situations many times over the past decade. Now, before I dive deeper into this conversation, I have to say that dark forces are real. I had a very direct experience with them that lasted around 6 years when I passed through a dark night of the soul. Before that time, my experience of spiritual awakening and walking the path did not include any encounters with dark forces. I have worked with shamanism very intensely and then Wicca, and neither brought me into contact with that dark sphere. However, there was a trigger of a different kind in 2010 that began this dark period for me. For a large portion of that time, psychic attacks was a daily and nighttime experience for me. I do now consider that time to be a rather intense period of my training for the work I now do. So dark forces are real, and psychic attack is certainly something that many may experience at this time of ascension. There are certain pathways that can lead to such an encounter. One is certain addictions, such as alcohol, drugs, porn. These are 3 common examples. An addiction to dark horror films or dark computer gaming can also open the way for dark forces. Another is meeting someone who has dark entities in their field, and this is something I believe happened to the friend I spoke with recently. Another is working with a healer or spiritual teacher that is also compromised in some way, meaning they cannot hold a safe space. In the developed world, most healers and teachers that are compromised are not aware of this. I've come across a couple of teachers that were convinced they were the bee's knees, so to speak. Also one very successful healer, yet I could tell that all were very strongly compromised. In the developed world, there are very few foolish enough to work with dark forces, putting aside certain so-called elite circles. Yet in the developing world, there are many who quite happily work in the realm of black magic. However, it is known this is a rather precarious career, since most practitioners of the dark arts do not live long and happy lives. Another way dark forces can reach a being is by becoming intimate with someone who is compromised, and dark entities are in possession of their energy fields. And this was my own way into the dark night experience. Now, the subject of this little chat is clearing fear of dark forces. And the reason for this is that fear itself is a very potent doorway that allows dark forces various degrees of access to our energy fields and to our mind. My own journey of feeling quite helpless in the face of ongoing attack to finding ways to neutralize such attacks was very much needed, since it taught me the need of neutralizing my own fear and managing my own psychological state. That all being said, if you have a fear of dark forces, here are some things to consider or practice. Firstly, please know that this earth plane has been quite dense for thousands of years, and this is now changing. The light is getting stronger, and this is making dark forces more active because they feel the shift and are doing everything they can to stop it. This is creating a lot of volatility right now on the earth and across the inner planes. Attacks from dark forces towards certain starseeds, especially anyone with a public presence like myself, is more common than, say, 20 years ago. Please remember that the light is getting stronger day by day, and it is becoming harder for dark forces to freely operate as they once were able. I have a number of highlight decrees that are aimed at clearing dark force interference and creating stronger psychic protection. These are useful in that you only need to listen to them and let them in. Listening to these tracks more than once is useful. These tracks and more can be found in my YouTube channel under the playlist Psychic Protection. I also have a library of deeper material in my 5D membership zone. I also have some tracks aimed at clearing fear, and these can be found also in YouTube in the playlist called Emotional Healing. An important thing to note is that psychic interference is often done through telepathy, where dark beings transmit messages to the mind. For those who are sensitive and awake, they may hear these voices and perhaps mistake these for their own. In my own dark night, I did experience this ongoingly. Please note that dark force beings are compulsive liars, and believing any such telepathically projected thought or voice will negatively affect your energy fields. These projected thoughts and voices are designed to create a response that lowers your vibration, lowers your defenses, and thus makes you more vulnerable to being manipulated. Creating strong psychic protection is something I have focused on for a long while, and I've created many tracks to help with this. It is important to strengthen your connection to your higher self in whatever way you are drawn. This can be through prayer or meditation or simple ritual. One technique I find helpful as I go about my day is to imagine sending roots down into the earth, connecting my energy fields to the crystalline core of Gaia, and at the same time sending lines of force upwards through my crown, connecting me to the crystalline core of the sun. I also imagine spinning light around my energy fields. In this way, it becomes very difficult for dark forces to approach. I also call on certain angels for protection. Many of you will be familiar with the 6 archangels I call in my transmissions. You may also be familiar with angels of violet and ultraviolet fire that I find very helpful. I like to call on Metatron and Michael when feeling any kind of attack brewing. The Arcturians are also very helpful in clearing dark ET races. Calling on all such spiritual light is painful and repelling to any fallen being. Whatever way you call the light to you, ask also that any psychic agreements, including anything from your bloodlines and other lifetimes, causing you to be compromised in any way, allowing any such interference, be revealed to you, perhaps as scrolls or parchments or sheets of paper. If anything appears, destroy them in the light of the sun. Include in this process any religious agreements that compromise you, such as vows of obedience, since these are not helpful, as all religions have been hacked into over the centuries by dark forces. Also ask your higher self that all compromising agreements be cleared and destroyed through all layers of your Akashic records. Finally, ask that your aura be sealed in angelic light, and that any tears and rips or bigger openings in your field be cleared, closed and sealed. Remember, the more connected you are to your teams in spirit, the harder it is for you to be in fear, and the harder it is for any dark or fallen being to touch you in any way. I do hope this little chat has been helpful. Much love to you.